Can you just light up the room, please? Because I have two questions for you. The first question is, can you just raise your hand if you have given time or money to any social causes last year? Can you just raise your hand? Good people in section F. No, please. Interaction. Keep your hands up. If you believe I've been given enough. Like, keep looking around you. So some of you, yes. As an entrepreneur, that's really what I've learned. I traveled the world asking the same question everywhere. Wherever I was, I got the same answer. People are giving. People are doing. But most people, they know that they're not giving enough. They're not doing enough. As an entrepreneur, I said, that's where I should start. For all the entrepreneurs, I know some of them in the room today, we all start at point A. Point A is super clear, is where we are. Point B is where people want to go. And if the gap between A and B is wide enough, you maybe can build something. What we see in the world of good, this distance between those 2 points, is what we call the giving shortfall. Is what really we should be giving if we have all the tools. Epic, and Annette explained it before, what we do is pretty easy. We back amazing NGOs and social innovations to do what? To turn over the lives of those disadvantaged youth. That's what we do, but how can we do this? If I'm only going after some of you saying you should give more, we won't change the system. I think that's the same for you. We want to change the system. How can we change systems? By building solutions, by inventing solutions, by ideating, designing new solutions. And I will give you some examples of people who are doing this work. This one is interesting. It's with the LFP in France, so Ligue de Football Professionnel. What they have realized, you have millions, what I'm saying, hundreds of millions of euros and dollars exchange in this industry. But the people watching the games, they are not the same kind of people. How can you connect the two? They said, maybe there is an idea there, and we built this idea with them. Every time there is a goal, every time, the league is giving money to social good. So tonight, I think there are some games tonight. So even if whatever teams you are supporting, even if your team is not scoring a goal, if just getting a goal, then you have money will go to fight social injustices. That's easy. And then it's not only the money, because you see there, is not zillions of dollars there. Still, the message that we are able to deliver, the message that we carry is an important one. Those people who are suffering will never go to the stadiums, right? Still, the people who will be in the stadiums will understand that something will go helping them. That's one. Give you another one. I'm sure for the French, you know this guy, Grand Corps Malade, amazing singer, slammer. Also, he grew up at Saint-Denis. He's this kind of outliers. He should have been the successful star he is now. Still, he's saying, now I'm up there. How can I help the people who are just there? But I've been unlucky day one. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Back. Thank you. So he's giving 1%. 1% of everything he is making on his tour, on his album, everything. And for him, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to do it. It's real money. And then he's deciding where he put his money. So that's what we do with artists. With entrepreneurs, same. Station F. And I think it has been such an amazing venue here. So many entrepreneurs. So we go after them and how you can be part of this as well. Don't wait. Don't wait to maybe sell your business in 2 or 3 or 5 years from now. Maybe you know this guy, I'm sure you know his business, Brut. Future entrepreneur. So Brute, new media, is giving 1% of e-shares. So barely, we don't know yet if Brute will be acquired by Vice, by Fox, or by someone else. But when he's building this startup, when he's spending so much time to make this a success, he's saying, I'm giving 1%. 1% to people who have been less lucky than me. And the 1% could be 5%, could be whatever you want, could be 0.1%. Who can decide what you can give? And that's, I think, why we don't really like paying taxes, because it's an obligation, and we don't know always where the money goes, even if we understand it's important. There, you can add something. And I'm always asking questions like this to people saying, what do you do? And some of my friends are answering, I'm a philanthropist. Say, okay, what are you doing? What cause you are helping? And then tell me, I'm paying my taxes. And what I'm saying about this, that's normal, paying taxes. And by the way, and I know my team will be pretty mad at me, but let me ask you the second question. Can you just, again, interaction with you, can you raise your hand if you think that Apple not paying its taxes in France is normal? Now I have a second question for you. Can you raise your hand if you have an iPhone? Please, do it. Okay. Do I need to say something else? If we want this world to be different tomorrow, we need to try to align what? And to align what we believe to the action we're taking every single day. You remember in the US, 2 years ago, 18 months ago, I think, Uber was in trouble. The biggest competitor was Lyft at the time. Lyft was in trouble as well. It was hard for them to raise money. Uber did so many things in the wrong way that you get a movement in the US. It was hashtag, I think it was cancel Uber app, and hundreds of thousands of American people did it. So the impact of it was interesting. Lyft was about 6 or 7% of market share in the US. Now they're 25. They've been able to raise, I think, around north of $1 billion. What I'm saying here is not me, it's not Gonzague, Jean-Philippe, or Bertrand Picard. It's certainly not this. It's all of us. It's all of us to decide what we want tomorrow. And we can go and talk to our bosses, directors. We can do a lot of different things. But we can also buy different kind of product. So back to finance, or just before this, talking about movements, where we're doing. I'll give you just some of those entrepreneurs, in the US, in the UK, in France, we're doing it. We've decided to say, I will be successful because entrepreneurs, they want to go up there, and that's normal. Even if very few will get there, they have this wish, and they are giving 1 to 5% of what they have. Now we're talking about entrepreneurs. Let's talk about the investors. We said to those investors, and I think just what you've been building at Raise is an amazing model. But let's take this one. We went to see them and said, why not giving something important to you? So when you talk to investors, and Clara Gonzague will explain to you after, they have usually the carried of interest and the management fees. And we went to see them and said, why not giving away whatever you want out of your carried of interest? This fund is a PE fund in London, New York. They have 1.2 billion under management. And the 3 co-founders sign it, 1% of the carried of interest. And we went to see them and said, why have you been signing it? Tell me the reasons. 4 reasons for them. 4. 1, beside the fact that they like Epic and they understand the movement, but if they are doing it, it's always for good reasons. 1, it's because they still need to raise money. It's a good story when you give and you have this action about just those LPs or investors. Second reason is also for the employees. They have 25 employees, 25. How many of the 25 employees you think have signed the same pledge? Can you just, out of 25, how many you think? 25, I will love this. 23. The question is, what will happen to the 2 who didn't sign it? But 23 out of 25, that's what's important also to them. The third reason is entrepreneurs. That's for, again, for the entrepreneurs in this room, please. If you are lucky enough to have different term sheets from investors, start asking those kind of questions. Start asking what they will do with potentially the great work and the good just outcome of your work. And that's important. So entrepreneurs are more and more asking this. And the fourth reason is mostly at home. When we go home, when we have kids, or even when we go out of the weekend and we say, okay, with my friends, what have you been doing this week? If the only answer I'm able to give is, I've made a 2% growth, I've opened 2 new stores, what kind of life I have? And that's why also important is we need also to give something to inspire, and inspire friends, inspire just families. Next one, another example is the payroll giving, is on the paycheck. When we receive a paycheck, it's never rounded at the end. It's never 0, 0 is 22 cents, 65 for you, 82 for you. So we've been going after businesses. This one is Christian Dior. Been going after them saying, why not proposing your employees to give away what is after the dot, after the comma in France? But you need to match this number. It can only be the employees doing the work. You need to do also just your work. What's interesting is the numbers. After 1 year, you have 22% of the employees doing it. 22%. For them, by the next 2 years, 50% of the organization will do it. When we say we want to make giving the norm, that's a norm when you're up to 50%. What I'm saying here is not that hard. And it was interesting also the discussion we had with them about just how the union will react. They like this. Why? Because everyone has the same votes. So in the organization, the people there will have the same voice than the people there. And that's something very unique in any organizations. But in France, we have 26 million workers. Can you imagine the perfect world where we can all do this? So that will be barely just the average per month will be $500 million. €500 million will be able to go to help the people I've seen between the minute I left my home this morning to the minute I came here. How many people I saw in the streets suffering? How many? And that's what we're trying to do, is how can we help them? And for sure, we know the way the world goes, we need money to do this. But why? It's working. And I will skip this, the next one. So which impact is important? We cannot only give money, because the question I asked you before is, have you given enough? Usually I'm always asking, but why not? Most people are telling me, because I don't trust. I don't trust social organizations. I don't know what they do with my money. I don't know if 80% of my money will get there or just 95%. So the impact is important. So we've been working with my team to really just tour the world, to find organizations in terms of impact, in terms of governance, in terms of leadership that are perfect. And then we scale them, we fund them. Give you some examples, because money is everything. In France, in France, that's in France, where Bintu has been just helped to be trained to become a web developer. So that's barely just what it costs in France. If you go to Asia, 100 years is to help this little girl to go to school. 40 cents is in Africa the amount to give a pill to this little boy and not to fight those parasites. Why it's working now? It's working because of all of us. That's why we have been invited, all of us, to talk about what we're doing. Because now that's why you have so many people in the room. because we are trying to see how can we also be helpful there. And then I've always 3 reasons to see why it's working more and more now. The first one is this one. It's never been, so visible. Those people were suffering. 25 years ago, for me and for some of us here, this was far away. In Africa, in countries far away. Now, this kind of situation is just there, 1 block from this area. But the second one is even more important, is this generation. And I should say those generations. It started, I think, with the generation Y and Z, the under 30 and the under 20, the millennials, like we call them. They're different. 20 years ago, you mentioned HEC. At HEC, no one, 0, wanted to go to work for a social organization. 0, easy. Now, 20%. Tomorrow will be what? 25, 30%. Working for a social organization. 85% of the same students, they want to work for an organization that cares about society. And that's the same in London. That's the same in Australia. That's the same in the US. And when you have this generation doing this, it's the same for the Generation X. We're trying to understand that what have we done for the last 20 years? We've been super selfish, and we have not done anything, or not enough at the very least. And then, this guy was our best friend in the past. The Scrooge McDuck, the Uncle Picsou. 20 years ago, a lot of people, this guy was the icon. How can I get there? How can I be able to swim in this bathtub full of gold coins? But now it's different. You don't want to work with someone like him. You don't want to eat with someone like him. And that's the first part of the spectrum of people. On the other side, the activist. The activist, this one is for me certainly just the most well-known, but you have many more. We said, maybe I don't have to be billionaires to do something. And that I think just super important, just the panel after, because you have full of activists. And the last piece is more the pragmatic. Pragmatic is barely just Darwin. We do because we understand it's better. It's better for us, it's better for our family, it's better for our customers. That's barely just where we are now. So to end this presentation, this sharing revolution needs you. And how can you be helpful? It's not that hard. So we are on Saturday, right? So on Monday, when you go home, when you go back to work, go and talk to your CEO, managing director, HR, and ask them if they can implement the payroll giving. Tonight, when you go to your best restaurant, so bar, whatever, go and talk to the owner of the place and ask if he can do the transactional giving, when you pay. Entrepreneurs, please, sign the pledge. Give away whatever you want. Investors, do the same. What we see now, it's a world where we decide. We're able to do it. And if you need anything, reach out to us. Maybe you have some details here. But please, join us. And let's make what was maybe acceptable in the past no longer acceptable. Thank you so much.